It's 1 a.m. on a frigid February night in Manheim Township, Pennsylvania. A teenage girl, just 14 years old, calls 911. Her voice trembles, veering between hysteria and something colder. Then, for words that will shock everyone, "I stabbed my sister." Pause, linger there. Then silence. A first responder's nightmare. A once ordinary family home, now a crime scene. And at the center, a child accused of the unthinkable. Stick with me, don't click away, because what comes after will challenge everything you thought you knew about youth, mental health, justice, and where true accountability lies. Subscribe now and stay until the end, because this story isn't just another crime. It's a lens into our failing systems, our darkest impulses, and a twist that will leave you breathless. February 22nd, 2021. Manheim Township, suburban calm shattered. First responders arrive at the Miller family's ranch-style home. Snow blankets the driveway, but it's stained. There are red patches near the front, and a young girl, Claire Elena Miller, 14, stands outside, shaking, pants soaked. She splashes snow on her hands, as if to wash away more than just blood. In her voice, "I stabbed my sister." Inside, Helen Miller, 19, lying in bed with cerebral palsy in her wheelchair. She's been mysteriously and brutally stabbed in the neck. A pillow lies over her face, a single knife planted in the wound. Life drains from her while her parents sleep upstairs, unaware. From the outside, this looks like a random act of violence. But the deeper you look, the more you realize there's nothing random here. What drove a 14-year-old to take the life of her own sister? And what had been swirling beneath the surface? In the court of public opinion, there's an obsession with fame and with blaming TikTok. Claire had a following, about 21.9K fans. She posted lip-sync videos, anime content, and casual glimpses into daily life, occasionally with her sister visible in the background. The speculation exploded. Did she kill for clout? A superficial excuse, if you ask anyone who studied teenage psychology. Behind the feed was a child, lonely, depressed, battling a psychotic disorder. The day after the killing, police documents reveal she'd been having both suicidal and homicidal thoughts. Imagine a teenager waking each day with swirling dark impulses, cut off from real-world affection, seeking solace and validation on a screen. Did the algorithm feed her despair? Or was it reaching into her pre-existing wounds? We know she posted, but did the screen reflect the storm or deepen it? Neighbors describe a quiet street, steady routines, school trips, holidays. The Millers, Mark and Marie, loved both daughters. But Helen, needing more care due to cerebral palsy, inevitably received more attention, not out of favoritism, but out of necessity. Could that have bred resentment? Court filings and a witness, an unnamed person who spoke to Claire before police arrived, noted her suicidal and homicidal thoughts, but not attention-seeking. A lawyer for Claire later painted a broader picture. Mental health crises among youth, worsened by pandemic isolation, anxiety, disrupted routines, and uncertainty. Some of our best and brightest children are fighting demons, he said, calling for vigilance. A defense motion sought juvenile court, where the focus is rehabilitation until age 21, not prison. Her parents supported it. Horrific as it sounds, they didn't want to lose Claire too. A judge had to decide whether this girl would be tried as an adult, a choice that could mean decades in prison or a chance at healing. In September 2024, Judge David Workman ruled, Claire must remain in adult court. Pennsylvania law treats homicide as an adult crime, but courts can transfer under rare circumstances. Her mental health challenges didn't tip the scale. Months later, she pleaded guilty but mentally ill to third-degree murder. Not the same as an insanity plea, but acknowledging she lacked full capacity at the time. Judge Jeffrey Wright delivered the sentence, 12.5 to 40 years in prison. A child once, but now a convict, in a system ill-prepared for her complexity. Upon sentencing, her mental health and rehabilitation became the focus. Her attorney said she'd shown improvement. The DA insisted it balanced accountability, her age, mental condition, and society safety. A teenager locked in a prison cell, serving a sentence meant to outlast her own youth. But is justice served, or is the system simply failing them both? Consider the parents. They lost one daughter to death and the other to incarceration. As the judge observed, the courtroom must hold grief and hope samely for both Helen and Claire. On Reddit, comments echo our struggle to understand. Some insisted she was sane. She was therefore aware of what she was doing. Others saw the cost of mental illness and the pain of families shamed even in grief. One commenter captured it poignantly. The mom's plea broke my heart. We love both of them. I know Claire did not mean to do this. We lost Helen, and we don't want to lose Claire too. Here lies the social justice dimension. Our failure to detect mental illness, to support vulnerable youth, and our impulse to punish rather than heal. In 2021, a 14-year-old with a psychotic disorder killed her sister. 2 years later, she's locked behind bars. No second chance in sight. Justice systems are meant to protect. But whom do they protect when the accused is still a child in torment? Let's pull back. Claire's story isn't just her own. It's a warning. When youth face mental illness, isolation, online pressure, do we intervene or scroll past? When a family breaks in unimaginable ways, where's the line between justice and revenge? Here's the twist. While she's imprisoned, the debate rages on. Could a juvenile court recovery have been possible? Did the guilty but mentally ill plea balance compassion and consequence? Or did it let a system off the hook? Face the possibility. Maybe there is no tidy answer. Maybe the real crime is our collective negligence. But the story isn't over. What happened inside the prison walls? Does Claire truly receive treatment or become lost in the system? Can she heal? Will she ever face the world again? The clang of a steel door echoes. Concrete walls. A bed no wider than her childhood desk. This is Claire's new reality. Pennsylvania's correctional system. She's not even old enough to drive, but she's dressed in prison blues, her hair tied back, her TikTok dances replaced by therapy worksheets. She is separated from her peers, locked away among women decades older. Some are mothers, some grandmothers, some violent, others broken by addiction. Claire, once a child of suburban quiet, is thrust into a world she cannot fully comprehend. The prison staff try to shield her, placing her in protective custody. Yet whispers follow. That's the kid who killed her sister. But beneath the whispers lies a question. Is she a danger, or just another casualty of untreated illness? What happens when a teenage mind, already fragile, collides with the machinery of adult punishment? By law, Claire's plea, guilty but mentally ill, requires the state to provide psychiatric care. But records show Pennsylvania's prison mental health system is overburdened, underfunded, and plagued by staff shortages. Inmates wait weeks, sometimes months, to see a doctor. Claire is placed on antipsychotic medication. Counselors report mixed progress. Some days she's calmer, reflective, even remorseful. Other days she spirals, scratching her arms, muttering about the voices. Experts argue her case reveals the cracks in America's approach. Prisons become warehouses for the mentally ill. According to Bureau of Justice data, nearly 2/3 of incarcerated youth with violent offenses suffer from a mental disorder. Yet rehabilitation remains the exception, not the rule. Her defense attorney pushes for transfer to a psychiatric facility, but appeals stall. Prosecutors insist prison is the only just punishment. As the legal battle drags on, Claire's condition worsens. But then she does something inside prison that no one expected. Months into her sentence, Claire begins writing letters, hundreds of them, not to friends, not to strangers online, but to her parents. "Mom, I'm sorry. I hear Helen's voice sometimes. She says she forgives me, but I don't forgive myself." In another, "Dad, I don't want to be here anymore. It feels like they're waiting for me to fail. Please don't forget me." The letters are a lifeline for her parents. Mark and Marie Miller, drowning in grief, torn apart by community whispers, cling to her words. They've already lost Helen. They refuse to abandon Claire. But prosecutors see the letters differently. To them, they are proof she is aware, lucid. A killer who knows exactly what she did. But one letter stands out because it hints at something darker. A secret Claire had never shared before. In a letter written 6 months after sentencing, Claire reveals something chilling. "I don't remember the knife. I remember hearing a voice saying she has to go. And then nothing. I woke up and there was blood." Her parents bring this to her attorney, who consults psychiatrists. The diagnosis deepens, not just depression, not just psychosis, but a potential schizoaffective disorder. If true, this would mean Claire acted in a state where she could not distinguish reality from hallucination. A state that, had it been fully proven in court, might have changed her entire sentence. But prosecutors dismiss it. Too late. She pled guilty. Justice has been served. Was this confession a genuine window into her mind, or a desperate attempt to rewrite history? Outside prison walls, the Miller family lives in a ghost of their old life. Helen's wheelchair still sits in her room. Childhood photos line the hall, but they've become shrines. Marie Miller, the mother, visits Claire weekly. She tells reporters, "I know Claire loved Helen. Something inside her broke. We lost one daughter, but I will not let the system erase the other." Mark, the father, struggles more. Friends say he rarely speaks of Claire. For him, the wound is too deep. How do you reconcile that your youngest killed your eldest? In court documents, prosecutors note this fracture, suggesting it reflects Claire's manipulative streak. But psychologists counter. It's evidence of a family trying to survive unimaginable trauma. Then, during one prison visit, Claire says something to her mother that shakes her to the core. Marie sits across from Claire, separated by glass. Claire leans forward, whispering through the phone, "Mom, I think someone told me to do it. I think it wasn't me." Marie freezes. What do you mean? Claire's eyes well up. I think the voice wanted Helen gone, not me. This revelation cracks open an unsettling possibility. Was Claire fully in control? Or was she a child swallowed by a psychiatric break that no one caught in time? But here's the twist. Prison records later reveal Claire had stopped taking her medication weeks before that conversation. So was the confession real? Or was it the hallucinations returning with vengeance? Claire's case reverberates far beyond Pennsylvania. Advocacy groups use her story as a rallying cry, a symbol of how America criminalizes children with mental illness instead of treating them. On social media, debates ignite. Some call her a monster. Others see her as a victim of neglect, a child in need of care, not punishment. And some point to TikTok, arguing the culture of constant visibility blurred the line between self-expression and performance of violence. But one truth lingers. A disabled young woman is gone, a 14-year-old is condemned, and a family is shattered. No verdict or sentence can ever make it whole again. And yet, hidden in the legal paperwork, there's a clue suggesting this story isn't over. In 2025, Claire's attorney files a motion, a post-conviction relief petition. He argues that Claire's original trial overlooked critical psychiatric evidence, newly documented auditory hallucinations, that could have led to a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity. If successful, Claire's sentence could be vacated. She wouldn't walk free, but she might be transferred to a psychiatric hospital instead of prison. Prosecutors push back, warning it could open the floodgates for similar appeals. But behind closed doors, even some prison staff admit, Claire is not like other inmates. She is a child, broken, fragile, fighting voices that only she can hear. Will the courts reopen her case? Or will she spend her entire youth behind bars for a crime committed under the weight of untreated psychosis? A teenager lost in the system, a family still grieving, a justice system unwilling or unable to reconcile punishment with compassion. But the biggest question looms ahead. What really happened in that bedroom? Was it murder? Or was it the act of a child consumed by delusion? And now, with a new legal battle on the horizon, Claire's fate may shift again. I've taken a deep thought about this case, and I asked myself a simple question. What can we do differently so this don't repeat itself in our society? Here is my personal opinion. The case of Claire Elise Miller reveals the collision between adolescent mental illness, family dynamics, and the justice system. Legally, Pennsylvania law demanded she be tried as an adult because homicide is automatically treated as such. Psychologically, her history of suicidal and homicidal thoughts, combined with evidence of psychotic episodes, suggests her actions were deeply influenced by untreated mental illness. The court recognized this partially with the guilty but mentally ill plea, yet her 12½ 40-year sentence shows how punishment often outweighs treatment in the U.S. legal system. This tragedy underscores the systemic gap. Our institutions are quicker to imprison than to heal. At its heart, this is a lesson about unseen battles. A teenager who appeared to be a normal social media user was, in reality, struggling with voices, impulses, and isolation. The story reminds us that mental health is just as critical as physical health, and ignoring warning signs can have irreversible consequences. It also teaches that crime is rarely a simple matter of good or evil. Behind every headline, there are deeper layers of pain, neglect, and systemic failure. While the Miller parents loved both daughters, there are steps that may have helped Claire earlier. Early intervention. Seeking consistent psychiatric evaluation when early warning signs appeared, especially reports of suicidal thoughts, might have changed her trajectory. Balancing attention. Ensuring that, while Helen required more physical care, Claire also received emotional support, validation, and space to express her frustrations. Open communication. Creating a safe channel where Claire could voice dark thoughts without fear of punishment might have revealed her inner turmoil sooner. Monitoring social media use. Claire's heavy presence on TikTok might have masked loneliness. More active parental involvement could have opened space for healthier coping outlets. This tragedy isn't just about one family, it's about all of us. To prevent future cases. 1. Invest in youth mental health. Schools and communities must prioritize access to counselors, psychologists, and crisis hotlines for children. 2. Destigmatize mental illness. Encourage open conversations in families, classrooms, and media so children feel safe asking for help. 3. Reform juvenile justice. Laws should distinguish between deliberate violence and crimes born of severe mental illness, offering psychiatric care over prison time. 4. Parental and community awareness. Educating parents and caregivers to spot red flags, withdrawal, violent thoughts, erratic behavior, before they escalate. 5. Digital responsibility. Platforms like TikTok must play a role in identifying and responding to dangerous behaviors posted by vulnerable teens. This is not just the story of a crime. It's the story of what happens when silence, stigma, and systemic failures collide. We owe it to future children to learn from this tragedy, to watch more closely, listen more deeply, and act more quickly. Because if we do nothing, we will see this story again. Another teenager, another family shattered, another life ended too soon. So I leave you with this. Justice isn't just about punishment. True justice means protecting those on the edge before they fall. And in the case of Claire Elise Miller, the question remains, was she a killer or a casualty of neglect? Subscribe to Crime Vault for more chilling revelation, and this will mean a lot to me. Peace.